Okay, so this video we're going to talk about red blood cells or erythrocytes. I'm going to get rid of that over there. Okay. So erythrocytes these are red blood cells. And if you think of a cell as being, round like that, a red blood cell is not round. It has a biconcave shape. So basically it looks more like this. So a red blood cell from the side looks like that, and from the top it does look round, but actually it looks kind of like a donut. So there's not a hole there, but this part here is going to look a little different than the sides that are thicker. So this is what a red blood cell looks like. So red blood cells are made in the bone marrow. And they are made from what's called hemopoietic stem cells. So they come from hemopoietic stem cells. So stem cells are cells that can become other things. Okay? When a hematopoietic stem cell differentiates into a red blood cell, it actually has has the components of a cell. It has a nucleus and all those things, and it has things in it that help it make the things in red blood cells needed for, basically oxygen exchange. So once let me just put that right there so you know that. So has a nucleus, but once it enters the bloodstream, it enters it at something called a reticulocyte. And then it will mature into a red blood cell. And at that point, it will get rid of or eject its nucleus. So a red blood cell, as a mature cell, doesn't have a nucleus. Because of that, it doesn't last forever. It lasts about 120 days. So a red blood cell contains about 250 million hemoglobin molecules. So hemoglobin is the protein that's in red blood cells that carry oxygen. Again, it's a protein, it's a quaternary protein, so it has 4 proteins that are linked together. And in the middle of these proteins is an ion. And this iron ion is kind of like a magnet, and it will stick to oxygen. One red blood cell contains 1 billion oxygen molecules. Because oxygen will link to each of these iron ions on each of these hemoglobin molecules. So if there's 250 million and you've got 4 on each one, then you've got 1 billion oxygen molecules in one red blood cell. So red blood cells function is to get oxygen from the lungs and then transport it to tissues. And then pick up carbon dioxide from the tissues and take back to the lungs. All right, hematocrit, you've probably heard that term. Hematocrit is the percent of blood cells, red blood cells, in the blood. So that's what they're seeing when they take your hematocrit if you're at the doctor. So things that kind of some problems with red blood cells are anemias. So anemias are basically a decrease in the number of red blood cells. Or it can be deficient hemoglobin. So anemias can be caused by renal failure, put this up here. So causes can be renal failure, so renal failure, because if your kidneys are failing, they're not going to be secreting EPO, which is erythropoietin, which is the hormone that stimulates the bone marrow to make red blood cells. It could be a bone marrow problem. And that can stem from vitamin B deficiencies like B12, folate, whatever. Iron deficiency can cause anemias. Just problems with red blood cells. If they are weirdly shaped, or they're going through hemolysis, so they're basically being destroyed. Bleeding, so hemorrhaging. Hemorrhage can cause anemias. So that's basically the story of red blood cells. Again, they're called erythrocytes. Function: transfer oxygen and CO2 from lungs to tissue and tissue to lungs.